Okay. All right, guys. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Yes. So we are super excited to talk a little bit about branding and talk about how really Young Living is such a powerful tool to use alongside whatever your practice is, whatever your business is. So I wanted to just start with a little bit about myself and how Young Living has really leveraged and propelled me, and how I think that it's such a powerful thing for you to have for yourself as well. So I am an esthetician of 15 years now. So all things beauty is like my thing. I love hair, skin, and nails. And I think that it's such a powerful, powerful industry. But what I realized in that industry is if you didn't touch people, you didn't make money, right? If you didn't touch people, you didn't make money. And a lot of times you would have people to come in for an experience, but then maybe you didn't see them again. So what is going to set you apart in order to keep people not only coming back, but even when they're not with you, continue building some revenue and bringing in income and money? And so that's where I feel like when you hone in on that experience and incorporate all of the beautiful things, you can keep helping people afterwards. And so for me, what I did in my spa, when I owned my own spa, is we made sure that each and every person had an experience. So what did they smell? What did they hear? What did they touch when they came in? They look to us as the professionals, right? And so if we can create an environment that is inviting, an environment that allows them to feel comfortable and emotionally secure, they're going to want to keep having that same energy and that same experience over and over and over again. And so whether it was what we diffused when people came in, or whether it was the Ninja Red that they were drinking, they got to feel and experience some powerful products that they wanted that experience again and again. And so whether they were getting services or not, it just made sense to leverage those things so that they can continue to experience those, whether they were at home or whether they were elsewhere as well. And so I think it's super important to hone in on those five senses. I always talk about the five senses of the marketing. So hear, sight, smell, taste, touch, right? So if you can create that experience for each and every person that you encounter every single time that they're with you, then they are going to have a more lasting, impactful experience. And so when it comes to marketing and branding, I think it's so important to allow yourself to stand out by creating something just a little bit different than what maybe a person is accustomed to or that they're used to. What I noticed when I really started doing this is my numbers skyrocketed, right? Because it's not just about having a good customer, but what a good customer is, they bring their community to you. So when we think of branding and we think of marketing in those terms, you want to go above and beyond. So not only do they appreciate your service, but they want everyone they know, love, to experience your touch, your environment, everything that you are incorporating and bringing in as well. So that is a little bit about how I dig into the marketing, the experience, and what I think each and every person can incorporate no matter what industry you're in or what business you're in, because we know, especially when we hit some really hard times, there was many people that they didn't know what to do. They had to close stores. They had to close certain things. But if you have something that is leveraging you, even when one part of your business isn't working, you have something else that is still going and flowing. So with that, I will go ahead and turn it over. I'm not sure who goes next.
Lydia, Epic, are you going to teach next? You could teach next and I'll take the...
Yeah, for sure. You got it. So hi there, Lydia Epic here. And so what I love about being able to spend time with these three ladies is the fact that we each have a place where we've developed our presence, where it's growing and it's thriving, and it's allowing us to better understand how we can reach our communities. And so with regards to uniqueness, that's something that's really, really key. And Dana did an excellent job of speaking to that when we say that we're standing out in the crowd, it's that whole conversation of, if you, from a Young Living standpoint, if you have 100 Young Living distributors standing in front of you, or standing in front of someone who is thinking about getting started, why is it that they would choose you from that 100? Some people will think it's, maybe if I give them a whole lot of incentives, or maybe if I, shower them with gifts, then that will be what does it. And that may work for a season, but ultimately people buy from people because there's that connection that happens person to person. And so with regards to that communication and that connection, it's so important with developing that know, like, trust factor. For me personally, where I've begin to hone that even more is with better understanding and being able to identify people's personality types. There's all sorts of different personality tests and kind of questionnaires and systems that are out there. I just go with a really simple color personality test. So if you know Jacob Adamo and his color personalities, that is just a really nice, simple one. And I like it because it gives the ability to just quickly evaluate, even from someone's profile page, what their personality type is. And then it allows you to be able to connect and speak with them in a language or in a style in a way that they understand. So for example, I am more green. So that means I like facts, I like data, I like to really break things down and do analysis. That's how I speak, and that's what connects with me. And then there's someone in my support team who is blue. So she is more about doing things socially and creating community and having fun and parties and all the things, right? So we're two different personality types. And one would say, okay, well, in this business, maybe it's all the people who are just really fun, who are the blues, that do exceptionally well. And it's not necessarily true. You can also be a red, you could be a yellow, you could be a green, you could be a blue. It doesn't matter what personality type you are. But what does matter is how you go about communicating and helping people to, or loving them, if you will, in their personality. And embracing that. So for example, when I have someone that I'm communicating with and they're of a blue personality, and I can tell that just by the way they express themselves and the things that they love to show and all the fun and all the things that they may have on their page, then I know to speak towards that. Or if I have someone who is a red, I realize that that's someone who likes to get straight, direct, and to the point. So asking them about how their family is doing, or going into, what their different travel plans are, that's not really where they are. They're just get straight to the point. Let's do this, just move quickly, right? And so with that, just being able to key in on that, plus become even personal with, or become comfortable with your own personal personality color and your personality type, brings, again, another whole world of opportunities for you to connect. Because honestly, we want to connect with people that's right. We will want to connect with those who are willing to be authentically themselves. So for me personally, to try to portray myself as a blue, meaning to try to portray myself as someone who's always doing all sorts of fun, exciting, all the things, right? When that's not me. I may be able to do that for a season, but it's going to burn me out because it's not who I am. Just the same way that you may have someone who's a yellow personality who loves to serve and is giving and caring and just really loving and nurturing, and feels that they have to be a red who is just very let's press it, let's do the thing, I'm going to be first, I'm going to let you know that I'm going to be first, I'm going to be in the top, not even top 3, I'm going to be first, because second means the first loser, right? You have people who are that personality. And so the yellow who feel like they have to be that way, they're going to get burned out because that's the exact opposite of who they are, right? So instead, embrace who you are. Bring that authentic voice to the table, and know that when you show up fully as you, and you're in that place to also embrace others and to speak to them, because it's all different languages. It is literally like different languages with each different personality type. When you're willing to engage in that person's language and to speak to them in the way that they understand, it takes whatever message you have and it drives it deeper into the core of who they are, so they really truly hear you. So that's what I have to share.
I love it. Thank you, guys. Thank you both. I think both of those are really, really phenomenal messages and so applicable to kind of the entire, you know, brand, personal branding message that I have as well. We could tie them all in. So I love that so much. So I've got like 5 points or 4 points to share about developing a really, really strong personal brand. And I think that sometimes there's a couple mistakes that people make when they sign up, you know, when they get a kit with a company like Young Living. You know, sometimes the first mistake that people make is to, now they assume, okay, now I'm Young Living, so now I need to become Young Living's brand in order to be able to, you know, rep or sell this product, right? And then, you know, there's a couple different mistakes, but when we talk, or even thinking, you know, personal branding, you might be thinking, listen, like, I'm just a mom here, or I'm just this, or I'm just a that, I'm just a lady, I'm just a you know, whatever it is, that I'm just a blank, that personal branding doesn't apply to you. And that's like one of my first points and takeaways, is that whether or not you're doing it intentionally, you are cultivating a personal brand. A personal brand is just like Dana mentioned, it's the associations, it's the feelings, it's the thoughts, the ideas that people experience just when they see your face, when they see your name. We all are walking around and it is a personal brand. Now, the idea though is to make sure that what we're cultivating is intentional. So I don't love the idea of being so hyper curated that you can only, that you really limit yourself. However, when you are getting started and you're not well known first, it is just super smart to really, really hone down on at least just a couple things. I like to think about it as a stool. When you're getting started, maybe it's just like a 3-legged stool. As you become more well known, maybe you can add a couple other legs to the stool. But think 3 to 5 things that you're going to be super, super consistent about just sharing those things, because you're really at that point just trying to be known for something. So the questions we want to answer is, what do you want to be known for? And not only that, but what are you good for? So if someone's coming to your page, they need to know right away what they're gonna gain, what you're good for, right? Is it inspiration? Is it motivation? What's the vibe? What's the idea? Are they going to get specific knowledge about something? You know, some ideas we might, I'll go over a few different ideas, but those are the questions that we want to answer. What do you want to be known for, and what are you good for? Okay. And I really like getting to these answers by hitting the second point. The second point that I have here is, and this helps you get to your brand pillars or your 3-legged stool, is, who are you talking to? Do you know who she is specifically? And if we get into really kind of strategic marketing education, they call this maybe like an ideal customer avatar. Okay, do you have an ideal customer? Do you have an idea exactly who it is? I wish I could show you guys my cover, like a real creepy person. I have I took pictures of my ideal customer avatar. Maybe it's not one person in particular. For me, it was 5. I have 5 friends. They're in a specific age group. They're my girl. They're my girl. And what I realized when I put them up on this board, and I did that just so that I could, I really don't like thinking through this with my brain. I like feeling through this because it helps me just a little bit more when I do things that way. But you might be someone that just thinks really strategic through your brain. But when I'm looking at them, I know more about them. Okay. And that's going to get me to my third point, which is to help them out with something. What's the problem that I'm helping them through? Okay. So going back to that ideal customer avatar, don't even think about it that way. Don't use those terms. Think, who's your girl? Who's your person? Who's rooting you on? Who's resonating with you? Who is there for that message? And start to feel how you can bring her value, what her problems are that you're helping her resolve. And it will help you to respond, let's say, to this is really, really interesting. And I'll just say my small story about it, because right now, my girl, I want to say she's a Black woman. She's not. She's diverse, though. Okay. So she fits in a community. I know I have, a couple Asian girlfriends that I love that are on there, a couple Hispanic ones, a couple, but they're my real life friends, and I real life resonate with them. And so I can't speak to them or share to them in the same way that I would share to a group, let's say, going into my Young Living business, I kind of had in my mind Young Living people in front of me. Young Living is predominantly, it's white. It's got there's mainly white people in it. You're very much the minority in this business, which I'm excited about because that provides an insane opportunity. It's an amazing opportunity. Okay. But with my crew being who they are, my ideal customer being who they are, with everything that we've gone through, I can think about like the pandemic and think, how is my diverse mother of color handling this? What does she need in order to help her through this? Does she need inspiration, motivation? Does she need actual tools? How can I bring value into her life? And when I'm thinking about all of that, not in terms of Young Living products yet, I'm just thinking about her and how to serve her. Does that make sense? That makes sense. Yes. Okay, perfect. So now that we've got our ideal customer avatar and we've started thinking about her problems, the third thing is really just more so when we think about those problems, one really amazing way that I love to think about this is like, what kind of like, let's see, what common enemy are you the leader of? Are you leading that charge? So let's think about it like you're leading an army of what? What is it? What do they need? Okay, so for me, if it's a diverse mom of color right now, she's overwhelmed, she's maybe stressed out, she's maybe a little bit scared with social justice issues that are going on and affect her life. So I don't know, like you wouldn't believe this, but I was questioning whether or not I should even be sharing about social justice movement or the social justice movement before this summer kind of happened. And after going through that, if I am thinking about my people, if I'm thinking about showing up for her, I would be doing such an injustice to just kind of ignore it. And ignore it because primarily for me, a lot of people are going, who's the very best at Young Living? Who's killing it? Who's the RCD? What are they sharing about? They're not sharing about social justice. But guess what? That's the way that I am unique in the space, is because I do care about it. And I know that my target market needs to hear it. So the common enemy is, leading a charge forward in a specific way. And it doesn't have to be any one thing. Again, it can be wellness informed. It can be hair care informed. You can be a pastor, minister, devotional informed. It can be you're a mom of an autistic kid, and this is how you're helping lead the charge against the mainstream ways of handling autism, right? Or negative thoughts, mindset leader. Are you redefining divorce for women in their 40s? Are you, a fashion mama? Like, these are just different ideas to get your mind spinning. But, being a follower and copying somebody isn't necessarily the way to lead a charge forward, right? So your personal brand is a unique combination. It's a unique combination of the things that you're leading the charge against. And I think that becomes really exciting because we all then can be leaders in specific ways that are really, really authentic, really, really authentic. I have a affirmation that I learned. It's like, I believe that my being is endowed with the power to be marketed and monetized without shedding any integrity. I really believe that. And so I think when we serve from a place of authenticity and we are really, really thinking about how we can bring value, how can we bring value to the people who are kind enough to push that follow button, who are kind enough to watch our stories, they're giving us their time. How can we give them value? Okay. So, and that is that's actually the third point is social media has changed so much. And I don't, whatever platform it is that you've decided to develop, everybody doesn't have to kill it on Instagram. Everybody doesn't have to kill it on YouTube. Whatever it is, whichever platform you've decided to, okay, I'm going to set up camp here. Okay. Instead of what that social media, let's use Instagram, for example, that used to be, hey, look at me, I'm cute here. Hey, look at me, I'm cute here. Hey, look at my cute family here. Hey, look at me, look at me, look at me. Instead, we have to, at this point, if we want our audience to grow, and if we want people to continue to come and, watch our content and engage with our content and be customers eventually of ours, then we better start bringing value. Okay, we better start bringing value. So that doesn't mean you can't just show some stuff. It doesn't mean you can't just have aesthetics sometimes. But what it does mean is there's 4 main categories of value that you want to start bringing. Is it entertainment? Entertainment is actually one form of bringing value. Are you going to inspire? Are you going to educate? Or are you going to motivate? Okay, so entertain, inspire, educate, motivate. I'm sure there are plenty of other ways in which you can bring value. But the primary idea is, yes, you can absolutely just show great stuff or repost great content once in a while. But part of that, what are you good for and what are you well known for, is that you do provide value. And that value has, you got to put a little bit extra effort in making sure that periodically you're showing up just to give some extra value. That is not sales related. Okay, or that is both. So for the fourth one, it's consistency. So I'll just go back to that third one. How can you change it from look at me to how can you learn from me? Okay, so change from look at me to learn from me. Now, the fourth idea that I really want to share is just about consistency. Right? Because if we are not showing up, I'm sorry, but every single day, I know that can seem kind of overwhelming. And you can take some intentional time off, or you can curate ahead of time and just post it from, an automatic posting app. But people really do need to see you regularly and consistently. And when you're first getting started, maybe that looks like, okay, I'm going to post 3 times a week right now, or I'm just going to repost one thing every single day. That'll literally take you 2 minutes. I'm going to repost something every single day. Whatever your idea of consistency looks like, you got to stay consistent. Okay. That's the best way that people will show up to your page and know that you got something for them. In fact, you could have the most valuable piece of content one day, but if you don't show up again for a month, how long do you think people are going to come and look for you before they give up on you? That you don't, she doesn't really, I guess she doesn't post here. So I'm not really going to go look for her. So it will not only help you to show up for, in the algorithm, if you show up regularly, but it will also help your followers to be able to trust you because you show up for them and you show up regularly for them. And with that consistency piece, that can sound like, okay, well, every day I'm going to show something Young Living every single day. And I think you can absolutely do that. And this isn't just me. I've done a lot of training that has taught me about these, but you can absolutely show Young Living every single day. But what I recommend is that you jab, 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 right hook. So there's a book by Gary Vaynerchuk, who is a social media F-bomb dropper. He's not for everybody, but he is very direct. And I love this book because it kind of helps to go, okay, if you're a boxer and all you're doing is throwing huge right hooks, it's a matter of moments before you are going to get clocked or are predictable, or that people are just really not interested in watching you in your ineffective right hooking every single moment, right? However, if you're throwing some jabs in there and you're bobbing and weaving, look, I don't know anything about boxing. I'm really trying hard here, but I'm just going to admit that I don't know anything about boxing. However, the idea is there, right? That you're going to jab, jab, jab with brand building, with value, with motivation, even with entertaining, giving people reason to laugh. Okay. But your right hook is going to be a direct to camera. I'm going to ask for the sale, and I earned it because I gave you value. So for me, I'm very much, I think I've had to become somebody who's gotten comfortable sharing, and now I cannot wait to share because I know that it will bring value in the same way that there's other things that I'm sharing have brought value. Okay. So that's just the idea, is that in order, just think of your Young Living, your sales, your call to actions. And it doesn't even just have to be Young Living at this point too. This is Young Living specific training. So I do want you to apply it specifically to your Young Living business. But as you've built your own personal brand, there are probably products, whether you're an affiliate for like an Amazon product or things that actually will give value to your audience as well, right? And so being able to ask for those sales as well kind of can give you some good practice for asking for the sale in your Young Living business as well. So that's the biggest thing. You want to share. I think everybody should be sharing Young Living every single day, but as long as they're sharing personal brand stuff to support it every single day, if that makes sense. All right, let's open it up. Do you guys have questions, or do you have people on your team who have asked you specific questions about it? And then we can try to have a conversation and attack those together.
Yeah, I love that. I do want to jump in two things. So one thing that I wanted to add, because so during the European virtual convention, they had some incredible speakers. And one thing that I really, really appreciated that one brought out was when it came to like your personal brand, like understand you go follow people, you go see who vibes with you, but you want to look for what can you improve and what is missing from what they are bringing to the world. And when you do that, you become unique and you get to stand out. Because the reality is there's no two people in the world, right? So there's no way that they're going to be exactly like you, but you might find that somebody, maybe even we'll just go with like the boho theme, right? Maybe they're a plant lover, maybe they're into some of the natural things, but maybe you have a little more comedic presence. Maybe you laugh a little bit more than they do, and you like to crack some jokes and have a little bit of fun. So you can add that value by putting in your flair, and then it's unique to you, because there's going to be people that see that same person you're following and it's like, yeah, but I'm a little more jokester with it. You know what I mean? And so then they vibe with you because you're bringing something that's missing in that. So I do think that fits amazing with, some of the things that you have discussed as well. And I totally agree, but I will say, and I will pose this kind of as a question, because this is something that I do find a lot of my people struggle with, and that getting the sale, and you honed in on some of it, but a lot of times they don't have the problem promoting the other brand type things. But then when it gets to Young Living, all of a sudden they get weird or feel weird about it. So how do you think a person can overcome their blocks when it comes to really presenting Young Living in the same way they would present maybe a workout outfit or a purse or something else that maybe they have an affiliate program with?
Oh, I think that's such a good question. Okay. Or, that is a concern that is so valid. And I agree. I've been right there and so hesitant to share Young Living. I think that the key is to just, if you are using your oils, if you're using your products, then just show a little clip of you using your product. And to start there, start by just showing how you're using the oils. If you're only using the oils to sleep, then it's going to feel really disingenuous to try to show the oils for every other reason that people use them. Or if I'm not using the whole supplement line, it's disingenuous for me to market the supplement line. Okay. Young Living's got over 300 products. I really don't think everybody should be marketing all of the products at all. I think your personal brand is going to be a natural bridge towards a couple different products, right? And the context in which you can share it can only be personalized to those products and until you start using all of them. So I think if you're in your first just beginning stages of starting to share Young Living, then just sharing how you're using the product. And that can be a simple like, and here's another thing too, is that because oils are so education heavy, I think a lot of people feel intimidated talking about compounds and molecules and all of those things, right? And to be honest, I don't even know the words because it's very sciencey, and I didn't switch my brain to that today. I don't think that people need to be using them they don't need to be sharing all of that. And that curiosity posting really can look like this. You know, and then maybe I'm just saying like, or a moment of sanity in my crazy day. That was it right there. Guess what that's going to do? Questions, right? A bunch of questions. Maybe in my DMs, the person that's like, wait a minute, you got a moment, you got a secret to your sanity? What is it? What are you using? And then I can DM them, oh, this is this oil, it's got this and this and this in it, and this is what it does. So I do think that sometimes the problem that we're having is that we're either giving way too much information in the sharing site. We're either giving way too much information. We don't get any questions. We're not curiosity posting at all. And sometimes that looks like dropping some things in your diffuser, and maybe you're not telling what exactly you're using it, but maybe you're telling what it's doing for you, the benefits, the features, the benefits. And so that someone could ask, what is the actual product? And that's when you have time to engage. So I don't know if that answer, I can't answer the question of giving somebody the confidence to start sharing, because guess what? The way to start sharing and doing something scary is to do something scary and to just start sharing. That's the way to do it. However, there are, I think, easier little keys to just saying, you don't need to know everything. You don't need to show everything. You don't need to tell everything. You just need to like show people in the moments that you are using your oils. Does that answer it?
Yeah, that was absolutely perfect. I love that so much. Because I do feel like, again, I think because for some reason they like group Young Living different than the fact that this really is just an affiliate program on steroids. Like if it is something that is a part of your life, if it's something that you're using, like it's unfair to not put that out there in the world, that this is just one of the many things that support me and help me in my journey, like to be a good mom, to be a good, wife, or whatever that situation is. So I love that answer so very much.
I will go on to say too, that I think with these type of businesses, there are multiple things for you to market. With the same Young Living business, if my personal brand is boss babe, work hard, reach your dreams, motivate it, then in that case, I'm probably selling a business more often, right? I'm selling the business. However, if I am lifestyle and wellness, and I'm improving my life and getting my kids to sleep better and all of that, we're talking specific products. And so I do think that it's helpful if you know which one of those you're going for, and not to try to do both. If someone's in your inbox about peace and calming, they don't even need to know that this is a lot of times people enroll not even knowing it's a network marketing company. And that's okay. You just say, this is in your kit. You're getting it for basically $10 because this is the best deal in the whole kit. You're also going to love, similarly to Peace and Calming, you're going to love Stress Away as well. You're going to love lavender. You're going to probably love frankincense as well. And this is just the best deal. And if you don't have a diffuser, it comes with a free diffuser in it. So let's go ahead and get you that kit. And you're just selling that kit. And then, and their follow-ups are related to restocking. They're related to the deals that we're having, or the giveaway, you know, the free oils that you're getting and the following month or whatever. When they get to their enrollment, they might be like, wait a minute, what is enrolling? Oh, it's just, you're just getting your kit. You could just push, you know, put no on Essential Rewards. It won't charge you again. You don't have to ever order again. But you get, this way you get to experience the oils with oh, cool. There's a helicopter that looks so cool and it was so close. I hope they're not doing a rescue or something in the mountains. But anyway, so that's the main point, is that like knowing your personal brand is actually really, really important to knowing what it is that you're marketing, you know, and sometimes too, like I mostly do product, mostly do product, but then it's like, here's a peek into the business. Did you guys know that I help coach people, you know, you're whatever it is that your sales pitch is, and you can get people into like a class or something else based off of the business, even if you most of the time are just selling product.
Awesome. Now I had a question, and by the way, thank you so much for pulling all this together to share it. And I have this a whole page of notes.
I do too. Oh, good.
So with what you're mentioning in terms of consistency and showing up regularly, because I know this is a question that I get quite often. It's okay, I'm hearing about how people are doing so well on Facebook, and they're doing well on Instagram, and they're doing well on YouTube, and they're doing well on TikTok, and they're doing well on Twitter, and they're doing well on LinkedIn, right? All these different avenues.
Yeah.
And it's just, okay, how many in terms of starting? So you have, let's say a few hundred friends on Facebook, and you have a few hundred friends on Instagram, and you're thinking you might go into YouTube, right? And to start doing videos and whatnot. So in terms of where and how to start, so that there isn't that place of, because it's easy to get overwhelmed and think that you have to do, basically 6 different platforms at the same time. So from what you've seen and from your experience, what would you suggest for someone in terms of how it is they would go about, showing up and starting to just formulate and present their personal brand? How would they go about choosing which platform to work with?
Okay, so choosing which platform is up to you and the kind of content you like creating. Okay, so if you're long form, you want to be thorough in your information, you want to do an entire tutorial, you probably are not going to be doing that on Instagram. Like, you can actually now do that on Instagram, but that's more so a YouTube place, right? On YouTube, you can easily do a 10-minute video on such and such, and that's your YouTube. But just to answer your question simply, is like one platform. That's the first, like, you need to show up every day on one platform. However, I absolutely do recommend that you seed all the platforms. And what does that mean? That means you have a profile picture that is the same profile picture. You're not switching it up and getting cute and saying, I look cute on this, I look like this picture, so it's going to look a little different. My hair's up on this one. I mean, I'll go as far as to say, really, with all of us, because we're Black women here, our hair can look so drastically different from month to month to month. So we want to make sure that that profile picture, just keep it the same, but just make sure it's the same on each platform, and that each platform has a little summary of what you do. And so if this is going to be YouTube, maybe you do like 2 tutorials on YouTube. Just like take a moment, create some tutorials, do them on YouTube. That's just seeding. It's just seeding it, so that if somebody happens to stumble on you on YouTube, that's a lead generator. But let them know in your profile or description where you hang out. I'm mostly on Instagram every day, right? So I would really get consistent and get really good at one. And actually, I don't spend a lot of time on Facebook, but Facebook and Instagram are owned by the same company. So when you can, just double dip, just, share the content to the other platform. It's not going to cost you any more time they do work a little bit differently. The platforms work a little bit differently, but I would start out with one of them. And more so, which one you like. That was probably the wrong answer. Which one do you like the best? That's really important. But the most important thing really is, where are your people hanging out? Where are they? Because the statistics would show that most of them are in Instagram right now. There's some, I wish I knew I want to pull out this number and make this statement, but I can't think of the specific statistics about it. But so many women of our age group and mothers, I mean, we're Instagram people. And Instagram is becoming a juggernaut because they are, if you notice, like Instagram ate up Snapchat. They just ate it up. And now I deleted Snapchat. And then what else did they do? They implemented IGTV. So IGTV is long form. You want to do a long video, they're trying to eat up YouTube, you know, and right now they just incorporated Reels. They're trying to eat up TikTok. So as long as Instagram is continuing to innovate, then I think that it's probably still the most robust platform for you to get your growth. Not that I don't think it's really, if you're doing this full time, like I am, I do try to come up with a content calendar that it includes, you know, I'm showing up every single day, and Instagram's my main jam. That's where most of my leads are coming from. That's where all of my sales are coming from. However, I do like make YouTube videos as well. It's not as consistent, but maybe, you know, 2 a month would be my goal. 2 long form YouTube videos a month or something.
Very cool. Very cool. Awesome. All right. Yeah.
Can I add
ahead.
to that?
Yeah.
So I am more green. So I do look at the numbers and analytics. I do think in addition to that, like Lydia was saying, look at your audience. So one of the things that I did, even with my Instagram, is it is a business page. So I look at my analytics. I know when the best times for me to post. I know when the best times for me to interact. Because I am right now focusing a lot internationally, right? It wouldn't make sense for me to post at a time that the people in the UK or South Africa are sleeping at midnight, right? Mm-hmm. Because those are the people that right now I'm mostly trying to grow and interact with. In addition to another interesting statistic that like the #1 search engine for those in their 20s and under is YouTube.
YouTube, yeah.
Yep. And then after that, for those that are older, the #1 is Google, right? And if you notice, even with Google, right, the first thing a lot of times that pops up is videos on YouTube that correlate with what you're searching for. And so again, depending on your audience, it might be advantageous to have that YouTube platform too, to have that situation. And it just depends, because you might not spend as much time on it, but you want to have it too.
You know, I didn't want it to become like, because this can become like a real intensive marketing training. And it was like, let's just try to keep it simple. However, I'm with you, Dana. Like I am absolutely 100% in agreement where you do want some YouTube videos out there, just because you can spin your wheels and show up every day on Instagram in your stories, let's say, but those are only a 24-hour time clock. That can drop off at any point, or you cannot be showing up. And if you don't want to just keep doing that for something that's not going to be there permanently, you know, that's the hard way to get around it. I really would, in real life, instead of just trying to keep it simple, I really would recommend that people had like, just say like 5 YouTube videos about 5 specific things that your people are gonna want. So if my people follow me for self-care stuff, I am a self-care person and advocate and all of that. And just to be generic, let's say I'm going to do like a bubble bath, or like, let's say just like a goddess bath, like recipe or something like that. I could show that on Instagram in my stories, but that's going to disappear. What I really could do is just I could create a long form of that, set it up on YouTube. On my Instagram, I could kind of tease it, or I could show like clips of it, or I could speed it up. And I could say, for anybody who needs this whole recipe, I've done a video on, and link it on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? So it's just for people to, in Instagram, people can be very passive. They're just swiping and scrolling, and it can be very passive. In order to like stop the scroll or to become a little less passive, then you might want to take them off the platform to close them somewhere else.
Cool.
I didn't even mention too, like call to actions. You know, we need to do some call to actions. Do you want people, and that can be as simple as just DM me for more, or it looks like Dana's frozen.
Yeah, no, yeah, there she is. She's back.
There you are. You were frozen and it wasn't very flattering, girl. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Don't you think that's funny when it freezes you and you're like, why you gotta freeze right then? Come on.
Exactly. Oh my goodness. All right. That was really, really amazing. So I'm hearing 4 main points was recognizing that we're cultivating a personal brand, whether we know it or not. And that if we're starting off, we're wanting to do that with 3 to 5 areas. That would be kind of the 3 to 5 consistent things that we're going to show up with. And then 2 is to really consider who it is that we're talking to specifically and how you're resonating with that person, what kind of problems you're helping them to solve, how it is that you have a common enemy that you're fighting against, what you're leading the charge on, and really getting just laser focused on who that person is. So that when you're creating your content, you're speaking to that person versus just speaking to whomever. And then also, as a third point was, no matter the platform, how do you bring great value? Recognizing that there are these different ways that you can show up, whether it's to entertain, to inspire, to educate, or to motivate. And then also the power of consistency, that when we're showing up regularly, and you did mention a content calendar, and goodness knows there's all sorts of different ways to create them, time blocking, figure out your month, all the different things, do themes. But the idea is whatever you do to show up consistently, make it a part of what you do, because you have a business and this is your business, and people are going to be looking for you and they're waiting for you to show up and to connect with you. So don't let them down.
I love it. I love it. Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yay. Were there any other? Yeah, go for it.
What I really love about getting, because I think one of the parts that can sound a little bit tricky, that like getting really specific about your ideal person and who she is, and like what she's feeling, what she's going through, what her needs are, what her problems are. That can sound really limiting, but what I have noticed is that my follows, so I can go through kind of like who is finding my account and following me. And when you put that out there, they find you. And it's like all of the sudden, I'll just tell you personally, with my husband having worked at corporate, I had a huge audience of Young Living people. What's that going to do for me, guys? I don't need Young Living people following me. I need them. I need people who don't know a thing about Young Living to find me, and so that I could, so I could promote that to them, right? And so I really had to start repelling a little bit. Not repelling, but I just really had to start kind of, okay, I know they're watching me, but this is who I'm targeting over there, right? She's my girl. She's my, I know who she is. She's not this. So they're going to think whatever they're going to think. Maybe they're going to drop me. I don't know, but they're not me. She is me. And I need her to know about Young Living. I need her to know about the experiences with Young Living. So during that process, you might notice a little bit of a lull. If you're changing specifically, you'll notice a lull. In fact, in this moment, as you can imagine, the climate that it is here in the United States, it's just crazy, political, all of that stuff. I have had to really get comfortable with knowing that I'm not going to be able to, I'm not everybody's friend. I mean, I'm not here for everybody. I'm here for my girl. She needs me. And that, anyway, so as I've specifically found my girl, my ideal customer avatar, that person that I'm serving, speaking to, I get so thrilled to see my new follows, and it's like women of color. You know what I mean? Like they are the specific vibe that I'm putting out there, because your vibe attracts your tribe, and it's going to take a little bit of time. But don't be afraid to signal to her. Don't be afraid to in fact, you mentioned one of the programs, Martha Krejci's program. I've done her program as well. I think she's great. She calls it a bat signal. You know, so who's your bat signal? Who are you signaling to? And that's more important than who's already following you. I think that's one thing that, like, just understand and know that it's going to be a little bit of a transition, but keep pushing through it, because they're going to find you if you keep signaling to her. Well, I think that's it. I mean, we could keep going. I think we could actually do a part 2, but let's stop it right here. That's enough.
That was so super good. Thank you. Yeah, Dana, did you have any closing thoughts, items that you want to share? And I am all game for